guys. I'm laying in bed. It's 4:09, and I told you guys I would alternate between my regular on-camera videos and my talking ones because it's 4:09 in the morning. I'm not turning my lights on and getting on camera. I'm just not. But divine inspiration and ancestral inspiration is here, so I'm gonna make a video. I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about quote-unquote gypsy magic. Yes, we know that the G word is racist, but to give context, I have to use it so that y'all understand where I'm coming from. I'm going to talk about kind of the stereotypes and where they might come from and different things like that. I have been making a lot more content about my Romani part this year because for a long time I was very uncomfortable with that part of me, and I feel like I owe it to my ancestors to put certain information out there. Because I should not have been ashamed. I should not have carried myself that way, at least for as long as I did. Like, I was ashamed of it until I was like 24. I just then got past it. I was made fun of pretty bad in middle school. I grew up in a small town. I went to school with like mostly white, Caucasian, Anglo-Saxon people with blue eyes and southern accents and blonde hair and not an arm hair in sight. And I had very Mediterranean features, so I got made fun of like a motherfucker. I had bushy eyebrows, arm hair, a Greek nose that I did not grow into until I was about 21 or 22. I've always had very olivey yellow complexion, and they would say that I look sick. And I had pretty dark yellowish complexion up until I was like 14. And then I had a certain health issue, and my complexion changed. I can show you guys pictures. It is crazy. It just kind of changed my complexion a little bit. It's not vitiligo, it's something else. But, it's kind of ironic though, because I actually got sick, and I wasn't made fun of by these people for how light my skin looked. Anyway, I was made fun of a lot, and I remember even at 11 years old thinking, like, I'm just telling them that I'm Greek. Imagine what they're gonna say when they find out, you know, the other part of my culture. I'm never gonna hear the end of it. Because I knew. Like, I knew that we did things differently, and I knew that, like, our belief system was different from these people, and, I just couldn't handle the backlash. So, anyway, you can see just from that story, like, how ingrained these stereotypes are, and also the fear of not wanting to feed into those, but it still happens anyway. Like, I've had a lot of people, especially guys, be like, and I quote, "Are you gonna put like a gypsy curse on me? Or are you gonna put some gypsy magic on me?" Meanwhile, I'm sitting there thinking, this is our first date. Okay? Like, I don't even know you. But anyway, because Like, Romani women are very fetishized. The whole fortune teller woman with the gold jewelry and long skirts, Esmeralda, is very fetishized. It's a pretty common stereotype. Like, we just go around putting curses on people. And I've seen this so much in real life. I've had friends and clients tell me, oh yeah, my mom told me, or my grandma told me, that, and I quote, some gypsy woman put a curse on us 100 years ago, and that's why X, Y, and Z happened. Like, people actually believe this. And I'm sure some of it's true. I'm also sure that a lot of it is not. You can even see it in the media. Like in the movie Holes, where you have Stanley Yelnats and his family being cursed because his great-great-grandfather in Latvia went to a fortune teller named Madame Zeroni, and I think, what was that grandpa's name? Was it Elra? Hold on. You'll know I gotta... Yeah, Elia. Okay. Their grandfather's name was Elia. And Elia wanted to marry this girl named Myra. And so did this other guy. And Myra's dad told Elia and the other guy, look, you each bring me a pig, and whichever pig weighs more, the owner of it gets to marry my daughter. So Elia went to Madame Zeroni, and Madame Zeroni gave him a pig and told him, take this piglet up to the top of the mountain and let it drink from the stream at the top of the mountain, and it will get big and strong, and you will win and be able to marry Myra. But you have to come back to take Madame Zeroni up the mountain so that Madame Zeroni can get big and strong, because she can't do it by herself, right? She's an older woman. Or if you break this promise, you and your lineage will be cursed with bad luck forever. And what happens? Of course, Elia gets on a boat to come to America and broke the promise. And that's believed for most of the movie to be why Stanley has such bad luck. And that's just one example. I've seen it a lot in movies and stuff, like, and even in fucking Hannah Montana, there's this one girl dressed as like a fortune teller telling Jackson Stewart that, like, because he's being mean to people, that she's cursed him, and all this bad stuff starts happening to him. Anyway. A lot of it is believed to be generational curses. I don't really believe in that at all. I know that's kind of what we're supposed to be known for, which is ridiculous. But anyway, I don't believe in that because I don't think that someone should have to pay for someone else's sins. I know that sometimes it happens, and parents' karma does fall onto their children. I've been told that by elders of mine that, especially in witchcraft and brujeria, you have to be careful, because if you do a bunch of unjustified shit, it will fall on your kids. And even in a practical sense, that makes sense, right? Because if you spent 15 years of your life doing spell work unjustly for people to lose money or to steal their financial blessings, to siphon it, or Same thing for their love life. You become a parent. Chances are at some point your own finances are going to turn into turmoil because of all the bad shit that you've sent at other people that didn't deserve it, right? So of course the child is going to suffer because they're going to be living in an impoverished family, right? But anyway, I don't believe in like deliberately cursing like the next 8 generations or something. But that's a whole different video. What I will say though is it's also known to be very strong, and it is for a lot of reasons. Like, I remember when I first started, I realized that I had to be careful what spell work that I would do, good or bad, because it was very hard to break. How did I come to this realization? I was like 20 or 21, and I was very boy crazy. I was very quick to do love spells. And all of this was part of my path, right? My lessons, my knowledge, my growth. So my ancestors were in my ear telling me how to do it. Because Romani folk magic is ancestral, it's generational, and it's folk magic, so it's using very accessible, basic things. And prayers and saints and stuff sometimes. So, I would do the love spell. The guy and I would have a fight, or I would break up with him or whatever. And I would break the honey jar or the candle or whatever and get rid of it. And then a few weeks would go by and he would still be texting me, calling me, hiding in my bushes. I'm not even exaggerating, you guys. I'm not. That was fun to see on my security camera when I woke up one morning. Yeah, it would be very obvious that the work was still on him. Because when I do my magic, even when I first started, I'm a very thorough, specific person. The way that my brain works with certain things, I'm very specific. And I would know that it was the love work making him act like this, because very specific things in my petition, very specific words and phrases. So, and this happened about 2 or 3 times. So I would have to go back to my ancestors with my tail between my legs. And this was before Paulo. So I would have to do my tarot cards and divination and ask them how I can break this shit for real. Because physically breaking it and doing other stuff to destroy it was not enough. And I realized I had a pretty heavy hand. And that's not me bragging. If anything, it made my path harder, because I realized how careful I had to be, for good or bad. The love work was hard to break up, and then if that's hard, imagine how hard it can be if we're talking about curses. And I think intuitively I always knew that, and my ancestors were kind of guiding me to set that work up a certain way, because it would be hard to break, if that makes sense. Setting it up in a way that clears me of any karma, because I've never ever been someone to throw work when it wasn't justified. Okay? Were there times when it was justified, but I took it a little far out of anger? Yes, there were. Looking back, there were other things that I could have done, and I could have been softer and not as prickly. Literally, I loved, oh my god, y'all, I'm not gonna give out my secrets, but there's this one work in particular I was not fucking around. Yeah, sometimes I would take it too far, but I would also put certain things in the petition that would cover that base, because that's what my ancestors told me to do. Sorry, I'm trying to be like careful here, because I'm not gonna give out that secret of what I do. Even if I did, it's something that, like, you can't really trick the universe with it. So, Romani magic is very hard to break, because there's a lot of ancestral power that goes into it. Because think about it, like, if one of my ancestors are telling me how to do a spell, chances are when they were on Earth, they did something very similar. Or they did that exact spell, probably multiple times, right? Because everybody has their go-to, seemingly fail-proof method of doing things. Like, I have a few different spells that I know, if I do it that way, it's worked for me before, it'll work again, boom. Right? So, because my ancestors already did that, it's in my DNA. And so it's almost like having 2 or 3 people casting the same spell instead of one. And all from the same lineage. So, there is some truth in the strength of it. I just don't like that people think, number one, that that's all that our spirituality is, and number 2, that we do it all the time, or recklessly, or unjustly. Because we're talking about a group of people that were severely oppressed, and mistreated, and persecuted, and stuff. If they did throw shit at their oppressors, it was deserved. And especially for the women, that's been our only method of defense. So obviously, if we're talking about a group of people that have been persecuted for 1,000+ years, and a lot of us had to defend ourselves by spiritual means, that's going to get passed down. And I know that for a fact. Because it's not that bad anymore, because I've calmed myself down. But when I first started, I was that person that even if I wouldn't throw at somebody, when they were mistreating me and shit, I would still have that urge. It's just instinctual, it's second nature. I could stop myself and be like, Nikki, just give it a few days, think about it. But it's like a switch. And I know where that comes from. So, there's really no, like, perfect wording for this video, because it's such a complex topic. But I also, out of respect for my people, need to mention that not all Romani people, especially Romani women, are witches. They're not. And that's okay. There's a lot of, like, Roma families that don't practice any type of magic. If anything, they condemn it. A lot of them are super Christian, super Orthodox, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu. Some of them are atheists. So it's not for everybody. But the practice itself does have a lot of ancestral roots and a lot of ancestral power. And it's something that, if this is part of your lineage, it's just going to come to you. You'll be in the kitchen and you'll need to do something and you'll just know how to do it with what you have. And your ancestors will be guiding you. And there are a lot of similarities between Romani folk magic and Italian folk. I think that's what it's called, Italian folk magic. They also have their own little traditions and stuff, their prayers, their symbolism. They're same with the Greek folk magic and the Mati, the evil eye. Girl, that is one thing in my family that, as Christian and Orthodox as a lot of them were, if you have a headache, it's the Mati. If you trip, it's the Mati. If your stomach hurts, Mati. You lose your job, Mati. Evil eye, evil eye, evil eye. And I'm like, oh my God. But hey, that's their belief system. It's okay. And I don't really have any Italian background that I know of. I'm sure there's one or two in there somewhere. But I know that in Greek folk magic, spiritual baths are used to get rid of Mati, of the evil eye. Especially with lemons. A lot of them would just make a bath with some holy water and some lemon and maybe some salt and cleanse. So yeah, it's very interesting. I love folk magic of any kind, and it's very near and dear to my heart. It's not something that I'm going to share online. If I get permission from my people, I might share little basic things, because there is a lot of overlap between these different folk magic practices. So I don't really feel uncomfortable sharing some of it, especially when we're talking about very basic, an apple spell for you and your lover, or some kind of protection ward using peppers. I probably will start making those videos, actually. But yeah, I'm gonna get off of here. Like I said, I could do this video for hours. It's very complex, but I just kind of wanted to talk about it, okay? If you would like to book a reading, you can click the link in my description, and I will connect with you one-on-one.